VMX here, and I'm bringing you, on the shortest, coldest month of the year, my reviews and reflections of one of the coolest and longest-running movie franchises in history, the James Bond 007 films. Now, I've wanted to do a feature like this for a long time, and after seeing James Rolfe's Godzilla-thon, in which he took on the massive undertaking of reviewing every Godzilla film, and there are a lot of them, I was once again inspired by him to do my own marathon of reviews, but for my own personal favorite franchise. Anyway, on with it. When most people think of the genesis of the James Bond movie franchise, they think of Eon Films and its first Bond movie, Dr. No. But what most people don't know is that 8 years earlier, a live television drama series called Climax debuted with an adaptation of the first Bond novel, Casino Royale. And no, you didn't hear me wrong. I said live. The entire production was broadcast live on television in glorious black and white. Because it was broadcast live, and in the primitive year of 1954, only 6 years after television had been invented, the footage was thought to have been lost. Sometime later it turned up, though it was missing the third act. More recently, the entire thing was found and even released on DVD, usually for bargain prices, though it's hard to find. Also, if you get the DVD of a later version of Casino Royale, depending on the version, you may get the original as a bonus. The film is based off the first novel, as I mentioned, and it takes a certain liberties with the story and character of James Bond. As it was released only a year after the novel was written, Bond wasn't an established literary character, and the first Bond author and creator of the character, Ian Fleming, always saw Bond as something to be performed, so he immediately sought out to have the book adapted. As it was an American program, Bond was changed from a British secret agent to a member of American Combined Intelligence, also known as the CIA. And although he refers to himself as James Bond in one scene, most characters call him Jimmy. The character of Felix Leiter, who was the American CIA agent in the book, is replaced by Clarence Leiter, a British secret agent. So you can see just how they kind of switched jobs. The French secret agent René Mathis and the British Secret Service accountant Vesper Lynd are combined into one role, Valerie Mathis, who seems to have had a previous relationship with Bond, who doesn't know she is a French secret agent. The villain, Le Chiffre, is mostly unchanged from the novel, and is played by Peter Lorre, who really couldn't remember his lines, but he did a great job of ad-libbing. You can really feel the character's desperation as he's lost 80 million francs of Soviet money and has to win it back in gambling, where he faces execution at the hands of Smersh. The acting is pretty good considering it was done live and all in one shot with minimal breaks, though occasionally Barry Nelson, who plays Bond, has to stifle a laugh near the beginning. He gets into the groove, and by the third act, he's very convincing. The plot is fairly close to the novel. Bond is sent to take care of Le Chiffre and meets up with Leiter, who fronts the money for Bond to go up against Le Chiffre in a game of baccarat. Much like the novel, the game is explained to the audience, and Bond initially loses to Le Chiffre, possibly on purpose due to a threat against Valerie. Bond gets wiped out and gains more money from an unknown source. Later it's revealed to be the French government through Valerie. Bond defeats Le Chiffre at baccarat and foils a robbery attempt using a gun disguised as a cane. He hides the check for 80 million francs, but is then attacked by Le Chiffre, who captures him and Valerie and tortures Bond to find out where the money is hidden. Well, eventually Le Chiffre's men find it on their own and start to celebrate. A seriously injured Bond and Valerie manage to escape, and Bond shoots Le Chiffre, seriously wounding him. The film ends ambiguously. You don't know if Le Chiffre will succumb to his injuries or what will happen to him, though it's suggested earlier that keeping him from raising the money is as good as killing him. Also, Valerie Mathis survives, meaning she's much more based on René Mathis's character than Vesper Lynd, who turned out to be a Soviet spy herself in the novel and killed herself when she couldn't reconcile her duty with her love for Bond. Despite the changes, the live nature of the program, and the primitive filming techniques, Casino Royale is still decent, even to the modern eye. The entire thing is summed up well in 50 minutes, and the typical audience has probably not read the novel, and therefore they didn't care if the characters or the plot lines were changed, and they were treated to an excited hour-long drama with decent actors in an exotic setting. Now, while I'm unsure of what became of the Climax series after Casino Royale, I do know that it's worth your time, if you're a fan of the character, to track down a copy of this historic piece of Bond history. I give Casino Royale a 7 out of a possible 10.